Welcome back, and thank you for joining A Shark's Perspective. What does e-commerce mean to your business? With the pandemic, it's simply exploded in use, but there are so many innovations today that continue to go beyond just a few tools. If it's part of your business, is it integral all the way through because you care about the seamless experience your customer may have as a touch point with you? And what does it say to take to develop a hot subscription model? And well, let's just say a cold but tasty business. Franco Folini is an e-commerce director and digital marketing strategist who helps companies to adopt scalable e-commerce solutions, including subscription-based business models. And on this episode, we'll discuss innovations in e-commerce, specialized marketplaces, Shopify, BigCommerce, and other tools, selling a unique product or service without just jumping into a marketplace, subscription models in food versus technology, database inventories when selling online, leveraging AI, vino, gelato, and a lot more. So let's tune into an Italian e-commerce king with your favorite shark who loves him some Stracciatella on this episode of A Shark's Perspective. All right, so Franco, thank you so much for joining us today on A Shark's Perspective. Tell us a little bit about your background and your career to date.
Hi, Kenneth. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, of course.
So, I come from a very technical background. I have a master degree in computer science, and over my career, I went through different positions. So I started teaching in Italy, then I moved to US and started my own company as an entrepreneur. And finally, I landed to marketing. After doing marketing, as an entrepreneur, you do a little bit of everything, especially in a small company. So at the end, I landed on a position as a consultant, marketing consultant for small and medium businesses. Right now, also, I'm teaching a boot camp for UC Berkeley Extension on digital marketing. That is really something that is really exciting for me because it's really an opportunity for me to, I have all those concepts, experiences in mind, in my brain, going around, and teaching is the best way to put everything in a straight line and organize all my experiences, opinion, and skills.
Yeah, no, that's great. So when we met like about a year ago at a conference, it was
Yes.
pretty quick and brief, but this topic has been e-commerce, and what you focus on has really been at the focus. And I've followed a lot of your posts because you've always post a lot of e-commerce tips. And e-commerce is something that I've worked on a pretty good chunk of my career as well, with a lot of brands, helping them set that up. But this has just been so incredibly important with the explosion of e-commerce during a pandemic. Is there anything that you can attribute from an innovation standpoint to e-commerce that's helped enable or fuel that growth as well, other than just being stuck at home during a pandemic?
Great question. There are so many trends, and that I don't want to spend the next 2 days talking about the innovation in e-commerce. Let's try to summarize
Sure.
the main trends. So I believe one trend is that a lot of technology is becoming more and more accessible. So it's not only something that it's only for big corporation or extremely well-founded startups, but it's something even a small or medium business can afford. Okay, so going online with products and be effective, not just opening a online store, but starting really selling your product, now is becoming more accessible, and integration with the marketing tools and so on. This is for sure is something that we'll see continuing in the next few years, and we'll see more and more small businesses able to approach e-commerce in a very professional and effective way. The second trend is not so much technological. I think people are getting a little bit tired of those generic stores where you can buy almost everything, but they are not specialized.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember
marketplaces.
Going to Amazon, buying I don't know, like a T-shirt, and Amazon say, "Oh, people buy the T-shirt. Also, they're buying this Star Trek DVD series." I mean, doesn't make any sense. If I'm in the T-shirt mood, give me some tip, some recommendation that is relevant. Okay. Or if you haven't ever tried to buy some gadget for photography, you will see how horrible is the not having a specialized environment, but having kind of general purpose. Okay, so this means those big corporations are leaving space for very focused, very skilled professional sellers, where not only there is a technology, but there is also knowledge and from the owner, from the team, that can really create connection, correlations, and help the buyer to find, to have a kind of very positive experience. And finally, the other big trend we see is this shifting from single purchase kind of relationship, transactional relationship, to a more user-centered relationship through subscription. Okay, so this is the tools, software tools, online tools are getting better every day. People are finally starting to really appreciate the benefits. Okay, so it's a technological shift, but is also a cultural shift to subscriptions.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, as you said that, I know it was probably about 15 years ago, I was trying to set up a marketplace for someone, and it was a mess to try to get a hold of the tools. I mean, it was difficult at the time. Now it's Shopify and forget it. I mean, it's, you're off to the races pretty quickly with dozens of very accessible tools today. And it's
Yes.
so much easier than, you worked in the technology background, and also now you're working in the food service background. So help identify some of the innovation that we're seeing, especially at least in the food services industry, because that's much different than what we would see in technology.
Yes, the food service is now experiencing a little bit of problems, because if you talk about small restaurants or small
Sure.
chains, obviously we know that they are having a hard time dealing with the pandemic. But there are also opportunities. So many of those small businesses are reacting. They're trying to set up an e-commerce, subscription-based systems, and now this is. On one side is creating new opportunities, but is also exposing a little bit the technological lag, the delay between the technology for this specific industry. What I mean is that if you are trying to create subscription for software, for example, you have tons of absolutely great tools that will cover all your crazy ideas, your business models, no problem. If you move to the food industry, your options are going to be much more limited. You will have to compromise a lot. Okay, so great opportunity, and I can't wait for the technology to catch up and start to offer more professional, more complete tools. Okay.
Well, from an e-commerce perspective, do you see more of these restaurants, or at least more in the restaurant and food service industry? Do you see people setting up more of their own e-commerce channels today to capture those opportunities? Because I've long lived for a lot of these restaurants that had to shut down early. You could set up a e-commerce page fairly quickly for a small business, but so many have just leaned on, and there's nothing wrong with it, Uber Eats and the DoorDashes of the world, but you're giving away a pretty good chunk of percentage,
Absolutely.
just giving away their platform. And granted, if you can make a good hamburger or a waffle or a taco, that doesn't mean that you need to start studying how to be an e-commerce technology player, because most restaurants are not going to have any knowledge of that. But it creates such an opportunity for them to be able to make their food more accessible and not give everything away to the delivery service, who by default
Absolutely.
becomes the marketplace.
You are right to the point. So what we are seeing now is that everybody is trying to jump on the e-commerce, but now you see all those people, those restaurants, small business owner. You start to see a difference. You see those are only kind of great chef, great with food, but they lack some kind of entrepreneurial attitude. And you see also, but also you see people that not only they can make great food, but they also have the right mindset to approach the e-commerce with the right in the right way. And one of the major issue I see is many of them, they perceive marketing and e-commerce like something that the external service, they pay a fee and they don't have to think about. And they don't understand that e-commerce and so many other, and also the marketing itself has to be deeply ingrained inside the company. It's not something that you just pay a consultant that takes care of everything. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now what I see really two different type of people, two different type of companies, and obviously the one with the more entrepreneurial mindset, they are the ones that are going to survive and thrive in this condition. It's going to be hard at the beginning because they have, they don't have a lot of funds, a lot of money to put down, but they are making the right choices. The ones that are only good for making great food, they at the end of the day they will probably have to downsize or
sure.
even close.
Well, you're skinnier than me, so I wouldn't have necessarily thought of you as the gelato e-commerce guy in San Francisco. But now that you're working with a gelato company, I know you're helping them build out a lot of their e-commerce. Kind of define what a subscription model means in the e-commerce business and how we go about building that out.
So, yes, first I want just to, it's very interesting way we started this project. So I had this idea of subscription for gelato for a long time. I was pitching this to a friend of mine for at least 1 year. And then when the COVID issues started, I got a phone call from this friend of mine. I said, okay, now is the time. So gelato subscription is, it's a very simple idea. You subscribe, you select, let's say you subscribe for 3 pints of gelato every 2 weeks, and you go online, you mix and match all the flavors you want, and we deliver to your place every 2 weeks, the flavors you selected. So far it seems very simple, but then when you try to create a process that can be effective, that can scale well, then you start to see a lot of limitation of the tools. Okay. And so on one side, we see incredible enthusiasm from our members because the idea of getting gelato at home is really something that makes them happy. They're really excited. On the other side, the limitation of the software platforms generates a lot of additional works in terms of customer support and so on. So I really hope that quickly we can get access to more the kind of tools I was talking before. So the kind of level of service you get when you sell software subscriptions, okay? And I'm aware that the food industry, in particular, the fresh food industry, has some very peculiar requirement. So if you sell computers, every variation of your product as a SKU, as a stock quantity, and so on. When you sell gelato, it's not like we have a fridge full of Stracciatella pints. We have at the beginning of the week, our gelato chef makes the gelato, and then we fill the pints and we deliver the pints. So the concept of stock is really different. Requirements are different, and in the process, we are, it's a lot of fun because we are learning a lot. We are enjoying not only the gelato, but also how people react when they finally get their pints at the door and they can really start enjoying the gelato.
When you mentioned talking about scalable, I started thinking in particular, we talked about this a while back. One of the issues I've seen, obviously, in 2020 with channels, and I brought this up on a presentation recently I did, it is so often now that when you go buy anything from anywhere, if I wanted to go buy toilet paper today, or let's say 6 months ago during the height of the pandemic,
Yep.
all of the inventory for essential products was never there. And so many people set up these pretty little packaged, landing pages with a couple of buttons and widgets and gadgets and wadgets, but they couldn't tie inventory back. Like that, what are some of the other problems that you see with a lot of e-commerce channels that you have to go in and fix and correct and tell people not to do? Because database inventory tying something back correctly is, as a customer, one of my biggest pet peeves.
Well, as we mentioned, the e-commerce is not like an external function of the something you can completely outsource. It has to be part of the internal processes, of the mindset. Okay, so you have to set up a process that is effective and scalable, and this is usually the biggest obstacle when you deal with small and medium businesses, because they have, on one side, they make flexibility their strength, okay, but flexibility for a small business means somebody's going to fix all the little issues. when you handle hundreds of members, and you cannot do that manually. You need a process that is well defined, so when people can count on information flowing through the company, different stages. The person in charge of the stock needs to know how much we are going to sell the next week, in 2 weeks, what are the projection, and the chef needs to know exactly how much to prepare for the next delivery. So all the logistic has to work. And also, because we're talking about food, there are a lot of situations that are not always predictable, and those are part of the kind of food business. So, for example, if you are making nectarine gelato and your farmer's market runs out of nectarines, you need to alert your customer that nectarines are not anymore available, not because you made a mistake, because the season is over, or because the nectarines you find were not up to your standard. Okay, so it's a complex issue, and it takes a lot of organization process, and this is where the steepest learning curve for small businesses. They really struggle to reorganize themselves to make it all the information flow well through the process.
One of the things that we were talking about earlier was customization and
Yes.
making it scalable. Talk a little bit about how, you're in the Bay Area. Talk a little bit about how artificial intelligence is helping enable a lot of the innovation in e-commerce today.
Yes. So I believe artificial intelligence is really going to completely change the way e-commerce works. We already see great example for example, in companies like Stitch Fix.
Sure.
So the way Stitch Fix works, you create your account, and they ask you a set of questions like what kind of, between those 3 pairs of pants, which one you prefer, what kind of t-shirts in this set is your favorite. And then for example, they ask you to access to your Pinterest account, so they can learn from your favorite pictures what you like. Okay. And they are really, really good. So when they start to deliver, they select a set of clothes for you. When they start to deliver those boxes, most of the time they are absolutely spot on. Okay, it's My wife was absolutely blown away how good they are in capturing your your taste, your preferences. Okay, so right now this kind of feature is available only for kind of high-tech company with a very large budget. Okay, when we see this kind of in a couple of years, we will start to see these kind of features to drip down to kind of more entry-level, basic, smaller businesses. And this is really going to make a huge difference. So think about, we are delivering gelato to our members, and there is a person that is always buying all the variation of chocolate flavors, like, dairy-free chocolate, regular chocolate, cappuccino with chocolate, these kind of flavors. Okay, so then I can really make recommendations when we have new flavors, and instead of annoying everybody with presenting a new flavor, I can be very focused only on people that are already into this kind of specific kind of flavors. I can customize my communication, so I can send communication specifically for this kind of profile. So those are features that are common if you are a big player. Okay, so if you have access to Salesforce and a team of marketers, this is nothing new. What is new is that we are starting to see this kind of feature coming down and becoming available to small players. Okay, this is going to be a revolution, because then you combine the original exceptional product of certain small companies with the power, marketing power, and hyper customization that comes from artificial intelligence, and you get really a winning combination, something very powerful.
What about the limitation, though, of plugins? I mean, obviously, you've got a few of the big players, the Shopify's and the BigCommerce, and I mean, they have there's a lot of positive things that make them more accessible to people now, but they're also a little bit limited, like any form of technology, become a little bit limited as far as customizations.
Well, I don't want to go too much into technical details. I'm a technical person, so that's my
yeah.
But I give you a very specific example for the Shopify trend. So their business model is to provide like a basic platform, and then you can enhance the platform with plugins they call app. Okay, so you need a feature, you want to create a promotion, you have the promotion app. You want to create a recurring payments or membership, you have the membership app. Okay, the problem is that every app is like a kind of a silo, so it doesn't communicate with the others. And what is important, it's a basic marketing and communication rule. You want a kind of holistic approach. You want to leverage information you capture in one context to enhance the communication, the experience in another context. Okay, and the limitation of Shopify is that keeps a lot of information separated in different silos, and it's really hard for you as a seller to leverage all the information because it's not connected. Okay, so I don't know what's the solution of this technology, except for building your own e-commerce. That is not an option for the 90% of us.
Right.
But this is really a barrier to leverage all the information you have. Okay, and this is common with WooCommerce, BigCommerce, different ways of managing the information, but the issue is common for all of those platforms.
You've worked in several industries in e-commerce roles now, technology, food services, and others.
Yeah.
But when you look at e-commerce platforms, if you were kind of give advice today on how somebody can improve their e-commerce functionality and performance right now, what are you commonly seeing that's wrong that you think needs to be fixed in e-commerce?
Well, obviously, the first you don't believe all the horrible all the crap you see on YouTube. Okay, number one. No, buying cheap stuff for China and reselling it is not the way to go. Okay, so and there are no shortcuts. So first of all, you need to have a great product. Okay, that is possibly unique. So don't try to compete on Amazon on product where already Amazon is the dominant power. Okay, try to make something unique. Try to build a brand. This is and make the user experience the best possible experience. And
Amen.
it's not going to be easy because our customer are spoiled by extremely powerful companies. So they're used to Amazon giving super fast delivery, always perfect communication and so on. So this is the standard. So we have to jump very high to meet the standards. And our customers don't, they don't understand that you are a small business, you have less resources. They will compare your performance with the performance of the big player. So take care of every, the usual recommendation, take care of every touch point and be prepared. If you succeed, your business model has to be scalable. Your process has to be scalable. Success is what you want. Be ready for it. Don't let the success find a messy situation where you're going to blow up everything you built.
Agreed. Well, Franco, I ask this of all of my guests. You live in San Francisco, good 45-minute boat ride out of the Farallon Islands where I'll find a lot of great whites. But I ask this of all of my guests, what is your favorite kind of shark and why?
To be honest, I'm coming from the mountains, so I'm not the kind of a sea person.
You've seen one shark speak at a conference, so that's also a potential, a potential answer. So it's up to you.
Well, I really like your presentation. I think I share my excitement with you, and I really also enjoy your podcast.
Thank you.
Working from home is taking away this wasted time I was having in my commute. I don't commute anymore, so I have less time to listen to podcasts. But when I have the time, I always enjoy to listen to you. So because I have a little knowledge of sharks living in the water. My favorite shark for now is you.
I appreciate that. Well, Franco, it's a special time in the show. Are you ready for the 5 most interesting and important questions that you're going to be asked today?
Okay, I'm ready. I didn't expect that, but I'm ready.
All right. I ask this of everybody. So, and by the way, what part of Italy are you from?
I'm from the very north, close 10 miles from the border with Switzerland.
With Switzerland. You told me that last time when we talked. All right, here we go. Number 1, Shopify or BigCommerce?
Personally, I prefer Shopify, but the reason is the tools we know better is the tool we like the most.
Sure.
That's the only reason, to be honest.
All right. Number 2, are you a wine drinker?
Yes.
All right.
I'm coming from a family we were making wine. So.
Oh, beautiful. You didn't even mention that earlier. Number 2, Italian wine or you're in the Napa Valley area, Napa Valley wine.
Well, my Italian friends are going to kill me for that. But I like wine made on the barriques, so with a lot of flavor. So I know Europeans don't like this kind of flavor, but I love it. So
in California,
I'm for the California wine.
Yeah, they'll tax the grapes there. So, all right, number 3, gelato or ice cream?
Oh, no doubt. Gelato is much better. It's healthier, is tastier, and maybe you don't know, but gelato. In order to preserve ice cream, ice cream has to be much colder, so that kills a little bit the flavor. Sorry, ice cream has to be much colder, so that kills the flavor. When gelato is just below the freezing temperature, so it can free the flavor, the aroma much better than ice cream. And
Yeah,
obviously, has to be Italian gelato. No
it was a
question
little bit
about
of a
that.
softball question anyway. All right, number 4, we're going to talk about some flavors of gelato: Stracciatella or tiramisu.
Oh, by far Stracciatella. Absolutely, yes. I love tiramisu, but I like the real tiramisu,
Yeah,
not the
same here.
gelato
Same
flavor.
here. All right, number 5, and the most important question that you're going to be asked today is biscuits or cornbread?
Cornbread, yes.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I don't have a lot of real explanation for that. It's just I like it better.
And I'll throw in a horrible 6th question just for funsies.
Okay.
Carrabba's or Olive Garden?
My
You can't
wife
answer
is
that.
a fantastic chef, so I never go to Italian restaurants.
It's such an offensive question to ask in Italian. All right. So Franco, where can people find out more about you, keep up with your thoughts in e-commerce, and much, much more?
So the best reference is my LinkedIn profile. Okay, I
I'll put
also
that
have
on
a
the show
blog,
notes.
but my blog is a place where I dump all my ideas, experience about everything from motorcycling to. So don't expect a really professional blog. It's just a little bit of everything. So the best reference is my LinkedIn profile. Yes.
Franco, thank you so very much for being with us today on A Shark's Perspective.
Thank you, Kenneth. It was really fun, a lot of fun, and thank you for running this podcast. It's really important for me, and also I don't know if it's going to make any difference, but I'm recommending this podcast to my students. So,
grazie mille.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So there was my conversation with Franco Folini, an e-commerce director and digital marketing strategist who helps companies to adopt scalable e-commerce solutions, including subscription-based business models. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from my conversation with him. First, one trend is that tools are becoming more accessible, especially for those small businesses, to have a more professional and higher-end looking sites and capabilities online. This is essential to the small to medium-sized business to be able to compete. I love the shift we're seeing from single purchase relationships more to user-centered relationships with subscriptions. I've spoken about the value of subscriptions many times on this show, and obviously leveraging AI and intent triggers like we do in other forms of marketing. This is all becoming more exciting as it gets more in the hands of the smaller businesses. Again, with the technologies that perform well, I too really hope that the capabilities continue to expand quickly beyond just what Shopify or BigCommerce have today. Much better than it used to be, but our imagination takes us much further. Second, thankfully, we're continuing to see the shift from everybody's generic marketplaces to a renewed focus on niching your unique product or service. There always seems to be a rush into that generic marketplace without paying much attention to the value of marketing or e-commerce. So businesses look at it as some sort of afterthought simply exported to a third party. Franco too sees this as an issue and struggle for small businesses with undefined processes that should see this as a concern through and through to flow well. But to do this well, it must be ingrained in your business DNA. That was never meant that a business owner had to become an e-commerce specialist, but dedicating more focus to this than just as a credit card channel can really make a difference to your revenue and to your customers. Don't just make it an afterthought by looking at it as an extension of Grubhub or Uber Eats. So focus on your business first, and then getting my fish tacos done perfectly well. Then we can eyeball your e-commerce performance next. Third, love it when he said, and I quote, "There are no shortcuts. So first of all, you need to have a great product that is possibly unique. So don't try to compete on Amazon on product where already Amazon is a dominant power. Try to make something unique. Try to build a brand and make the user experience the best possible experience. And it's not going to be easy." That is such a great quote. You've simply got to take care of every touch point with your customers, especially at the point of sale. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. I'm going to go enjoy some gelato now. I may look for a blue ocean tropical flavor if I can't get Stracciatella. Arrivederci, and I hope to see you later when you join us on the next episode of A Shark's Perspective.